Welcome back for the keynote presentation of the fourth session, Embracing Innovation in a Changing Landscape. We are pleased to have Mr. Jonathan Chiu, President of Schneider Electric Hong Kong, as a keynote speaker. Although Mr. Chiu couldn't be with us physically today, he has recorded a video presentation for us all, and now let us watch the video.
Good afternoon. I'm Jonathan Chiu, the President of Schneider Electric Hong Kong. First of all, I would like to thank BEC for inviting me to speak in the online conference, Redefining Business Leadership for Green Growth. Today, I'm very glad to share with you in these keynote sections, Embracing Innovations in a Changing Landscape. I'm sure everyone agrees with me that the world has been undergoing a massive digital transformations over the past 10 years. Digital had changed the way we work together, we live together. The pandemic has accelerated these digital transformations. For example, we see a sharp increase of 47% in data usage, 30% increase in e-commerce, and 7-time increase in digital service during COVID-19. Besides, IDC reported that businesses will spend $2.3 trillion a year on digital transformation within the next 4 years. Therefore, the questions all companies face today is not whether to embrace digital transformations, but how to best take advantage of digital advancement, especially considering the change driven by the pandemic. COVID-19 is an accelerator of digital. It has accelerated the convergence of information and operational technology networks. 65% of IT and OT professionals say the network has become more interconnected since the pandemic began. At Schneider, we have been leveraging digital for efficiency and sustainability for a long time. But we have seen during COVID-19 the increase or the reinforcement of the value of resilience and the capacity to do everything from remote. The pandemic is changing the course of our lives, but it also makes us realize how vulnerable we are to natural phenomena and how important it is to become more resilient and take care of each other and our planet. Climate change remains top of our agendas, so as sustainability. Not to mention social aspirations on the rise with individuals, employees, consumers in need for more inclusions, more diversity, and more equality. When we look at the whole equations of climate change, we need to supply energy to 2 billion people and at the same time reduce the amount of carbon emissions by half. Effectively, this means we need to increase efficiency of everything we do in carbon intensity by a factor of 4. And it goes somewhere with 4 simple variables in the equations. The first one is to be much more efficient everywhere. We believe that by applying digital technologies, whether it be smart buildings, smart manufacturing, or smart cities, we can be 30% more efficient than what we are today. The second element is about circularity, making sure everything we do cultivates a more circular economy than what we have today. The third point is to be more prepared that in the next coming 20 years, the proportion of electricity will double. We speak a lot about electricity, but today it's only about 20% of the energy we consume. In 20 years from now, it's going to be at least 40%. Finally, this electricity will be very different because today it's only about 6% renewable. In 20-year times, it's going to be 40% renewable globally. It's not about waiting for one to happen to go into the other one. We have to do all of this in parallel. Everything we install, everything we build today will be here for the next 20 years to come. So, if we want to tackle climate change, we have to address all of those changes now. If we want to fight climate change and drive decarbonization in Hong Kong, building is probably the most important sector. Globally, buildings generate 40% of world CO2 emissions. In Hong Kong, buildings account for 90% electricity use, generating 60% of total carbon emissions. However, we see a lot of inefficiency in the building life cycle for both new buildings and existing ones. For example, the buildings industry ran 21st out of 22 industry on digitizations. 40% operational inefficiency are created during design phase, and 95% of all data captures goes unused in the constructions and engineering industry. Very obviously, the industry needs a massive digital injections to help deliver better and more efficient outcomes. There are 4 critical areas where the industry must provide better outcomes. First, sustainability. Environmental and business challenges are forcing us to examine the role buildings play in carbon emissions. Buildings account for 40% of the world's CO2 emissions. The future of building constructions and operations, both new and retrofit, is where the world will win or lose the fight against climate change. Second, resilience. The need for resilient buildings have never been greater. Building operators and facility managers face the difficult task of keeping operation running smoothly in times of crisis. Efficiency. More than 30% of the energy is wasted in a building, and you could easily remove the work energy and put in the workspace, because even pre-COVID, a typical building had approximately 30% of wasted space. Last but not least, about people. The world population is spending most of their lives indoors. In fact, there is an estimation that we will spend close to 90% of our time inside. Occupant productivity, health and safety will drive a new era in building and facility management, moving from a facility-centric to a people-centric approach. Fortunately, technologies exist today, and there are 2 trends that enable us to drive a more sustainable and resilient outcomes. The first is digitizations. With the Internet of Things, big data, and artificial intelligence, we can digitize and connect all the systems inside a building and get the information we need to build a smarter and more desirable future. At the same time, electrification is driving a dramatic move to more renewable source for electrical generations. This new, all-digital, all-electric world enable us to rethink the entire building life cycle for both old and new buildings. It gives us the foundations we need to create and retrofit buildings that are sustainable, resilient, hyper-efficient, and people-centric. At Schneider, our vision for building of the future focuses on 4 key principles. Sustainability, returning resources to our planet versus only using them. Resilience, which is about the ability to withstand both internal and external challenges. Achieving hyper-efficiency by leveraging real-time data to be more responsive and delivering more for less. Last but not least, people-centricity, offering a safe and healthy environment that exceeds expectations. And these 4 key principles are applicable to both new and existing buildings across the entire building's life cycle. Now, let's take a closer look at sustainability. In our visions, building of the future will be net zero by 2050. We will maximize electrification by replacing combustion fuel technology with electric. Enable active energy management by leveraging on-site and off-site renewable energy procurement and node management technologies. Operate positive energy building, which return energy to the grid. Applying resources efficient system design, connecting building management system to BEAM so that the entire building is mapped and structured in a way that enable informed decision-making and rapid issue resolutions. Last but not least, creating sustainable retrofits by digitizing existing buildings with connected sensors, power conditioning, energy monitoring, and control device installed in every part of the power networks. Data from this smart device will be used in the edge or in the cloud, enabling more proactive approaches to operations and maintenance for improved reliability, efficiency, and sustainability. Increase resilience. This means you will be able to operate more than 70% of your building remotely. The building power supplies will run continuously, and the mission-critical infrastructure, including IT and electrical distribution equipment, will be protected and secure. How will we achieve it? First, operate a building remotely using powerful condition-based monitoring platforms that will monitor and maintain power networks and HVAC systems. Harmonic control, uninterruptible power supplies, and mitigation solutions will enhance power reliability, increase uptime, and stabilize the building networks. Cybersecurity is a critical component of resilience. It's essential that power distribution and building management systems are safe from cyber attacks. In addition to cybersecurity, resilience also includes critical infrastructure asset protections. Avoid operational losses and expensive, time-consuming, and urgent maintenance. The third key principle in our Building of the Future vision is hyper-efficiency. Technologies are empowering building owners and operators to use big data and AI to significantly lower operating costs and improve productivity. Using real data and integrated systems, owners and operators will know people needs and make decisions to meet them. Space management will drastically improve the ability to identify underutilized desks, office, and meeting rooms for effective reallocation based on real data. Finally, energy will become an asset. Buildings of the future will have the capacity to return power to the grid and enable a better use of energy. Buildings of the future put people needs and expectation at the forefront and enhance the experience, health, and wellness of occupants. It starts with safer buildings with a fully digitized electrical distribution infrastructures that help protect building occupants, facility teams, and processes. Buildings of the future will deliver a new level of comfort and experience. It will provide talents with an engaging and personalized environment. And to create healthier buildings, owners and operators will use technologies to enhance occupancy well-being and increase productivity. In a nutshell, buildings will be more responsive and adapt to people's needs for improved collaborations and ultimately productivity. By improving efficiency, optimizing workspace, and creating comfortable and productive environments, building owners and operators can free up thousands of hours each year for people inside their buildings. At Schneider, we drive efficiency and sustainability through life cycle digitization in buildings and infrastructures. To achieve truly sustainable, resilient, hyper-efficient, and people-centric buildings, we are digitizing the entire life cycle and connecting all phases. This all-digital approach enables our customer to capture and leverage data in each stage, from design stage through the build stage and into the operate and maintain stage, for greater efficiency, better decision-making, and resources allocations, and ultimately for improved total cost of ownership. Let's spend a few minutes to zoom into these different stages. In the digital design stage, customers are realizing better accuracy with their design, with the ability to simulate real-world scenarios and situations. For example, in the US, our layout fast software has been used by more than 6,000 customers who on average are finding that the tools creates 40% to 60% saving in times on specific tasks for specifiers. The benefits of digitizing the design stage include, first, cloud-based design tools with native technology integrations. Second, electrical system design, analysis, and build of materials or BOM. Third, the convenience of using one application for all Schneider offers and across the building life cycle. In the build stage, our goal is to connect all stakeholders via a cloud-based solution to ensure collaborations and informed decision-making. One example of this includes our acquisitions of RIB. RIB has partnered with over 100,000 customers and more than 500,000 users to ensure they have a secure and easy-to-use platform for stakeholder collaborations during the build stage. RIP software solutions enable 5D BIM and a sophisticated digital twins environment, integrating costing, scheduling, construction, and monitoring, providing a cloud-based platform that connects people, process, and data. And last but not least, offer a high level of transparency in construction management. These elements result in customers realizing better organizations, accountability, and decision-making. We have deep domain expertise across all systems. In operate and maintain stage, we are continuously looking at how we can make buildings smarter. Smart buildings start with digitally connected infrastructures that enable you to monitor power status and quality, optimize HVAC system loads, improve occupants and air quality sensing, identify workplace occupancies, optimize between solar and other energy with real time, and leveraging predictive analytics to minimize downtime. If you build a smart building in 2021 and it doesn't do all these things, then it's not a smart building. And it will ultimately become obsolete quicker, cost more money over time, and provide occupants a less pleasant experience. This also applies to both greenfield and brownfield buildings. Existing buildings can be retrofitted to be as smart as a modern building. At Schneider, sustainability is at the heart of everything we do. We are very proud this year to be recognized by Corporate Knights as the most sustainable corporation in the world. Not only are we leading by example in our own ecosystem, including our partners across our extended supply chain, but we are also helping our customers accelerate their journey to net zero with our products, software, and services that drive efficiency and resilience. We believe that access to energy is a basic human right. So we engage with communities all over the world to help access green electricity and make a positive impact both to the environment and to our society. In order to go beyond that, we are taking sustainability to the next level and kicking off 2021 with the announcement of our 6th long-term commitment to sustainability, from climate actions to resources efficiency to responsible behavior of trust and building a more eco-diverse world. And for the first time, establishing sustainability goals at country level to empower local communities and ensure our contributions at every level. Our 6th commitment will be framing our sustainability strategies and driving our actions and impact on sustainability for business, planet, and people, covering all aspects of environment, society, and governance. I would like to finish the presentations by sharing with you the purpose of Schneider Electric as a company. Our purpose is to empower all to make the most of our energy and resources, bridging progress and sustainability for all. At Schneider, we call this Life is On. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chiu, for the holistic overview regarding innovation embracement, including digitalization and electrification with a focus in buildings. Followed by Mr. Chiu's keynote presentation. We'll begin our next panel discussion. But before we welcome our panelists and moderator on stage, for those of you who were not here in the morning session, if you have any questions to our panel of speakers, please type in your question using the Q&A box. Now, may I invite our moderator, Engineer CF Learn, Director of Operations of BECs, to start the panel discussion. CF, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you, MC, for your introduction. My name is CF Leung, who is the Director of Operations of BEC. Unfortunately, Jonathan cannot join us today for the panel discussion, but maybe let me to introduce our panelists first. To my right is Engineer Stephen Lai, the Chief Executive, Environmental Engineering of ATEL Engineering Group. And next to Stephen is Dr. Sharaj Dave, who is the Director, New Business Development of CLP Holdings Limited. And then is Mr. Ben Wong, is the head of open innovation of Eureka Nova. And we have one friend from Taiwan, who is Mr. Erdo Alpha, the president and CEO of Siemens Limited, who is also a BEC board director. Okay, and thank you all for joining today. So maybe let's get started and do some easy exercise first, right? Okay. So my first question is quite easy, right? Maybe all of you can please say a few words about your company and the main business function or focus, and what are the impacts of the global pandemic and how you conduct the business. Maybe we start from our friends in Taiwan first. Mr.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. How is the audio? You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly. Right.
Once again,
Yeah.
thank you for giving me the chance to join this event, this panel. I am Adel Elder, President and CEO of Siemens Limited, Hong Kong and Macau. If I'm sitting in Taiwan, I'm taking care of both the Hong Kong and Macau business. I'm representing Siemens. Siemens, the leading technology company from Germany. We are providing technologies to our customers to transform their businesses and solve the world's most pressing issues. We are active in many areas, mostly, especially in Hong Kong, in what we call smart infrastructure, which includes smart buildings, smart grids, grid management, energy management, but also smart mobility. We are also one of the major suppliers all over the world related to digital industrial solutions, which includes design tools for products production, design tools for generating twins, digital twins, and of course, all sorts of automation solutions. Again, glad to be here and join this panel.
All right, thank you, Mr. Erdo. Then how about Stephen? How about can you introduce your business?
Yes,
Right.
sure. Our company, Untitled Engineering Group, established in 1977. We are a leading electrical and mechanical engineering service provider. And we have quite a wide range of customers, including public sectors and private sectors. We have 4 major segments, which includes the building services, environmental engineering, information, communication, and building technologies. And then the last one is the lift and escalators. And we provide a wide range of services to our customers, and which includes different types of building services and energy saving solutions. Thank you.
All right. Sharaj, CLP is a big company, right? And what are you doing, or what's the major function of your business unit, right?
Thank you, thank you. So
Right.
as CF mentioned, I'm Saransh from CLP Group. CLP, just a brief introduction, is an energy company headquartered here in Hong Kong, and we're active throughout the value chain of power supply and retail. We have obviously business activities in China, India, Australia, and in Southeast Asia. I personally, I sit in the group innovation function, and I look after new business development. So this is creating new opportunities for CLP. As we see more and more electrification of different industries and adjacencies, there are some opportunities for CLP to grow and expand its activity. I also look after our startup ecosystem activity, where we actually look to collaborate and innovate to bring new solutions to our challenges and to our customers. So that's kind of what I do and what CLP does.
All right. How about Ben? I know your company names have a special meaning, right? Can you explain to our audience?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me at BEC. I'm Ben, and I'm the head of open innovation at Eureka Nova. Eureka Nova is New World Development's open innovation platform. So what we do across all the different businesses within New World, whether it's in property, retail, culture, our K11 ecosystems, hospitality, et cetera. What we do is we spend a lot of time understanding what the technology pain points are within the organization, and we build accelerator programs where we recruit startups that come in and actually work with us to create a solution that's applicable and creates business value. More recently, we've launched Asia's first UN SDG accelerator called Impact Commons. With Impact Commons, we're recruiting sustainability, purpose-driven impact startups to come into Hong Kong, or they're already existing in Hong Kong, to use our ecosystem to land their solution and create value for our customer ecosystem.
All right.
Yeah.
Shanas, I know that your business also nurturing some of the startup company. Can you share a little bit more with us?
Yeah, sure. So we have similar to Ben, we look at collaboration with early stage companies to help us think of new ideas and make sure we're on the forefront of the challenge that need to be addressed, as well as what our customers might be looking for. We're involved in one key program called Free Electrons, which is a collection of 9 utilities globally, where we scout and scan for startups every year. We kind of shortlist to about 15 every year, and we take them through a program. And the idea is that the startups get access to utilities in different countries where we're all committed to piloting with these companies. So we actually want to trial these companies, see if they fit our location, our local constraints, and our local needs, and then of course help them grow and use really CLP and our customers as that kind of landing base, similar to what Ben said, really. So it's really trying to make Hong Kong an attractive area for tech to come in, ideas to come in, as well as finding Hong Kong-based solutions and companies and ideas and taking them outside.
So any successful case that you can share with us about the startup company? And the final product has already launched in the market, or what you can help on them, right? Maybe both of you, Ben and Sharash, can share with us some of the successful case story.
Yeah, I can go first, maybe.
Yeah, but please.
Go, yeah. So in CLP, we launched a digital platform called Smart Energy Connect, which essentially brings solutions around energy management and for buildings for our customers. And within that, we partner with different companies to actually bring this to our customer in an integrated fashion. And one example I'd say is a company called R&B, which looks at HVAC optimization, and we tried them in our buildings and achieved a significant energy saving on just better use of building management data and better management of the HVAC set points.
But the company that you nurture must be energy related, right?
Yes, there's an energy management company, a software-based energy management company that kind of applies software and optimization to an existing building to actually optimize its energy use.
Okay, Ben, any share with us?
Right? Quite a few. We have a couple of energy management system startups also. They're in a program, but maybe I can put a little bit of a spin on upcycling startups. So one of our startups, CLS, they had a very unique solution where they take wood waste that are in construction sites, bamboo in the convention center where pallets are damaged. Typically, these wood wastes they get thrown away, but what this particular startup saw was an opportunity to upcycle it and turn it into biochar. So they had a process to turn it into biochar and then essentially take that biochar and put it into building material. For us, it was plaster. So right now what we're doing in our property development construction side is to look at, can we take this biochar, put it in a plaster, and then bury it emissions back into our buildings in the future. So there's actually a lot of opportunity there as well. Similarly, we also have another startup that are processing the wood and turning it back into building material, wood that can be reused in the future. So there's a lot of opportunities in the sustainability, purpose-driven startup space where we're actually seeing their solution, not just an idea, we're actually materializing it and helping them land it, and then hopefully we can also commercialize it together, not only here in Hong Kong, but in the GBA region.
All right, thank you, Ben. Stephen, may I know if the pandemic has heavily impacted your business?
Yes, a little bit. One of our business is to run the organic waste treatment plant in Hong Kong. And then due to pandemic, the amount of organic waste come to our plant is reduced.
Right.
And also we have different office in Macau, mainland China, UK, and the USA. And then due to the pandemics, it caused some project delayed, and we have to communicate with different office by using video conferencing. Previously, we can go to Macau to meet our client, to meet our staff, to go to mainland China as well. But nowadays, because of the pandemics, we have to stop this, and
Right.
people has to work, staff have to work at home and stay in the instead of staying in the office, we have to. We cannot have the face-to-face meetings with our staff and clients. Then it causes, some inefficiency in our operations.
We do have any innovative solution in the recent construction method? I heard that BIM and even some of the
Right.
prefabrication
Actually,
thing, right?
It accelerates the use of the BIM in our industries. So we have used the cloud-based BIM so that different parties can do their BIM in their office, and then we have to use the VC so that we can communicate with each others in different office or different countries to come up with the solutions. And also, for some of the factory, we cannot go there to visit. Then we have to use the so-called online platform so that we can monitoring the
factory
status
test, right.
of the manufacturing.
All right. Okay. So Erdo, how are you? Right, still here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Can you share with me?
Listening.
Okay. Can you share with us what are the innovative solutions provided by Siemens in terms of energy saving, and nowadays people particularly concerned their health and well-being, right?
Well, there are different areas
Yeah.
where we are providing solutions. As it has been already mentioned, in fact, the digitalization is the key technology, which is providing us a lot of opportunities, especially in this context, we are talking, connecting the real worlds with the digital world or virtual world. And we're also talking about the digital twins. And that is one of the technologies which we are providing in the building sectors. For example, what we also call, I think it has been mentioned, building information modeling links. But also in the industrial sectors, we're also providing our customers where they can build a digital twin of their products, production, and use also the technologies to simulate things. And those things are, of course, helping us to design and perform things in a much more efficient way. And with this, of course, save energy. And later on, after having designed the systems, for example, the buildings, if buildings run or operate, or if machines or other systems run and operate, we can look into the so-called performance swing and also use the big amount of data, analyze the data, and of course, draw conclusions out of it, and for example, optimize the energy consumptions. We have, for example, a system, what we call Navigator, what we apply in big buildings here in Hong Kong, but also here in Taiwan. And this is a cloud-based energy management solution which watches the energy consumption of the building and make it transparent. And the facility managers can analyze and then help to optimize the energy consumption. This is just one example, which we are having. So there are many areas. Once again, the key technologies here, of course, the digitalization, software solutions, cloud-based solutions, which help us to run things in a more efficient way, be it in buildings, be it in other operations.
And you are looking for the Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Vietnam market, right? How do you think Hong Kong is doing position, right, in terms of when compared with other countries? Do you think Hong Kong companies adopt a lot of innovation in their business?
Yes, in fact, I see a much more innovation power in Hong Kong. And by the way, we have also established our so-called smart city digital hub in Hong Kong to provide solutions directly to our customers, because we believe that there is a lot of, let's say, innovation power. And if I compare now Taiwan with Hong Kong in terms of buildings management, well, we are at a similar level, but I see a lot of maturity in Hong Kong projects, and that is good. So, and we have to, of course, move it into the next level and make it and improve it better.
All right. We have a question open to all, right? Innovation may not be just a technology, maybe also an idea. Do you have some innovative idea in your business, and to help to improve, say, for the sustainability, or even reduce the carbon footprint, or etc. Right? Maybe we start with Ben.
Yeah, I feel innovation. I leave the innovation piece to the innovators, the startups that think about these ideas based off of their purpose. And I think everyone would agree on this panel that we don't really need to redesign how sustainability should be done. There are a lot of frameworks in the market and models that we can follow. You know, whether it's the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, whether you're signing on to the Business Ambition 1.5 degrees Celsius. There's just so many of these frameworks that every organization can follow. I think what is really behind is setting the standard in your market and ensuring that you hit a benchmark where everyone else will also follow, right? So I think from a New World perspective, we want to ensure that we are following all these benchmarks and that we actually are results driven. We set goals, 2030 goals, for instance, in GBA, we're trying to be 100% renewable energy, right? So how do we achieve it now? By setting those goals and using a framework and then going out there to find the technologists and the innovators to help us achieve it together. That's essentially what every corporate out there should be striving to do and do, right? In the end, it's just ensuring that you do your part as well. So that's how we look at providing the platform for innovators.
All right. How about Shanish? Any innovative idea, but not technology, in terms of improving the sustainability of your operation, or even though for the entire society? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as we all probably agree, sustainability is core. There's targets we've all signed up to. We all have plans in place. We all kind of have a pathway to achieve those plans. So that's kind of well documented, well discussed. I think your point, around innovation not being technology, it could be an idea. I would draw the distinction in a different way. I would say invention versus innovation. Invention is, okay, you come up with a great idea, but innovation is, okay, how do you take that idea and how do you make it a reality? And how do you take that to market? And so what we're trying to do, particularly through collaboration with early stage companies, is they usually have an idea, maybe a prototype, but then the question is, okay, how do you commercialize this? How do you think about your commercial framework, your sales model? How do you engage your customer? And then how do you get the right capital and resources behind it to make it happen and have that positive impact? Because most startups, Ben mentioned, are kind of purpose-driven. So either they're focused on electrification, decarbonization, or energy efficiency, or something along those lines. And so our focus is, okay, if we find the right solution for the right challenges that we have in our businesses, how do we help them accelerate that and have that impact? Because you get the value from going out of the idea stage and into the execution mode, and that's really our focus. I would say, in terms of what from us, what we see in terms of helping society as a whole. Clearly, as Jonathan mentioned earlier in the keynote, electrification is going to double over a period of time. Now that means we're going to have a lot more power generation of a different nature. It's going to be intermittent. It's going to have its own issues, grid issues, capacity issues, and we as an industry obviously will come together and address those challenges. And I think there's a huge opportunity in that space alone. That's just one view of it. And there's a lot we can do there, just taking that example by itself. Yeah.
All right, but do you think that, the government announced that we are trying to achieve the carbon neutrality by 2050, right? Do you think maybe all panelists can express your idea whether the innovation or the current practice of Hong Kong can achieve that goal around 30 years later, right?
Maybe I'll go first and I can everyone else speak. I think obviously having the target and the goal is great, because we all need a vision to aim for, right? And then obviously from a CLP perspective, we're committed to working with Hong Kong government to try and achieve that. And then, if you look around globally, a lot of countries have similar challenges. So I think, as long as we collaborate, we look to others to share learning, we work with our partners in a collaborative fashion, I'm positive and hopeful about us reaching there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just really quickly, I think you made a really good point earlier. I think I'm also optimistic with all these goals, but the commercial aspect of it has to make sense. I think all these purpose-driven technologies that come out, they have these great ideas of purpose-driven. They want to solve real-world problems, but I think what we offer as corporates is, how do you actually make it viable, commercially viable at the same time? And I think if you can achieve that, then your solution is going to be able to scale very quickly. Yeah.
All right, Stephen, may I know how ATEL has done so far to achieve this target? Or how about your decarbonization journey so far?
Right. Well, we are involved in the water treatment and wastewater treatment plant. So for the water treatment and wastewater treatment plant, nowadays we are going to install solar panels. And also for the wastewater treatment plant, we are going to mix the sludge from the treatment process with the food waste and try to generate energy to serve the plant itself, or even the extra electricity can be called back to the supply grid. So in order to achieve the energy zero, okay? And apart from this, we are using some innovative technology or latest technology to try to generate more gas from those sludge. This includes the ultrasound sonic system and some other high energy system, efficiency system. And we are also going to use the digital twins for our process. This can not only reduce the energy use or optimize the usage of the energy, but also we will reduce the amount of chemical that we used in the plant. Okay. Apart from this, in Hong Kong, space is very limited, and we also involved in the automatic car park system. We use the AGV system to try to create more car park space in the building. So this sort of new technology we have tried to incorporate in our projects in order to achieve a sustainable environment.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. Redo, how about you?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that we are able to achieve the carbon neutrality by 2050?
I think we have to.
Right.
I don't think we have too much other options. If we see all those crises with floods, forest fires, and droughts, we have to do it. And here, I believe it is good that now countries one by one defining their targets, like Hong Kong did, by the way, also Taiwan, 2050, same year.
Correct.
Germany did 2052. Now we get a bit pressure also from let's say, from the environment. And now Germany says we will do it 2045, so 5 years earlier. So it is for me important, yes, that we set targets. It's also one of the factors just mentioned. It's good to have a vision, but we all have to work on this. We as company, for example, set ourselves the target to become carbon neutral by 2030. So still some year to go, but we have already done a lot. We have reduced our carbon footprint considerably. We are investing into optimization of our energy consumptions and others. And we are also exiting from businesses which are not climate friendly. For example, Siemens Energy colleagues have decided to get out of coal business. We are doing certain, supplying components to coal-fired plants and others. This all we will exit. But also, as the Siemens company, is the remaining company, we are now getting out of such projects which are not environmental. So once again, we have to set our target, but take actions and implement one by one. As I'm repeating, we don't have any other option. We have to do it. And we can do it. I mean, there are a lot of technologies, it has been now mentioned by many of you. If we utilize those technologies, we can do it. We are going through also several transformations we have to be aware of. We are talking about digital transformation, but also energy transition. All countries are going through that transition. We are doing it in Germany, we are doing it here in Taiwan, but also in Hong Kong. And as you have said, we will have more and more energy generated from renewables, which is good. And this also needs to be managed. This also needs to be integrated into the grid and others. So we also need new technologies which can help us to manage this change, this transition. Also, again, here, digital technologies are the key. So I can tell more if you like. Maybe I stop now.
Okay, thank you, Redo. Right.
Maybe you mind if I add just one more follow-on point, because I think Redo made a good point. It's that we have the targets, we have the willingness to do it. We all agree that there's no option really, and then it's all of us together. I think the other important angle in all of us is also the consumer and the customer. is becoming a much more active stakeholder in all this. We see that in the stuff that everyone does around here, being more active in their building management, being a producer because of solar panels, being flexible with their usage through demand response programs. And I think, not forgetting the customer centricity is actually going to become, I think, more and more relevant as we talk about decarbonization, particularly with the electrification of transport, more and more solar in people's houses, and more assets behind the meter. So I think this is a critical part I just wanted to mention. Yeah.
The question is quite similar to my last question to all of you, is that how to manage your customer expectation, right? If they're eager for more sustainability products or even service, right? So how would you fulfill their expectation, right? Maybe start with Stephen first, right?
Well, I think it's a communication. So we can show them some good example. How the the use of the innovative ideas and technology to bring in the benefits to them and also to the society. I think nowadays the client is really want to invest on this. Okay.
All right, Shanash.
So I think your question was around sustainability and solutions and how can you match customer expectations.
Right.
I think maybe talk
are they actually demanding more sustainability, so more sustainable or more environmentally friendly solutions, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as we've all mentioned, if you talk about business customers, they all have company visions on what they want to achieve, and each of them have to have certain objectives met in certain years. So for sure, from a business customer perspective, they're demanding this. So there's an increase in demand. From a residential or customer perspective, they're also demanding this because everyone's becoming more aware of environmental challenges, sustainability challenges, climate change. Awareness is much, much higher than it used to be in the past. And so even from a citizen or society perspective, you have to be responsible, you have to be ethical, and what you do, has to resonate with people's values. So I see this as, I think it's a kind of very straightforward, yeah.
Right. Any supplement from your Ben?
Yeah, I think, likewise, it's pretty straightforward. Our organization has a responsibility for us to be able to create platforms, places that you visit in our business ecosystem that is sustainability driven and that we have those goals. That's very straightforward, and we must achieve that and educate our customers in the meantime. But I do want to also communicate that, go out there and learn about how important this decade is when it pertains to actually achieving climate challenge goals, right? If we're really trying to get 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century, it's this decade that we need to make changes, right? Because that trajectory is intense if we don't make any changes. At this point, the trends are showing us 3.5 degrees Celsius. What does that mean? A lot of natural disasters coming on our way, where we're going to see extinctions of animals and species.
Right.
We're going to see a social divide with equity, with income gaps getting much broader because of the disadvantage, right? So I think go out there and learn about the 1.5 degrees challenge by the McKinsey Global Institute, and it breaks down 4 particular pillars on what we need to do as businesses and customers to achieve that goal within this defined decade.
Okay, and thank you all. I think we may go to the Q&A section because I see some questions are from the audience today, right? Maybe my first Q&A section is it's from a friend, right? His question is about today many commercial buildings will use cloud-based building energy management system to enhance the energy efficiency. However, the design of many buildings is unfavorable for energy efficiency. For example, using glass facade that will weaken the building envelope insulation, and the internal environment are heat up by solar radiation in the summer. So what are the innovations, solutions, or ideas that the panel speaker would suggest to improve that? Maybe Erdo and Shanash can answer this question, right?
Shall I start? All right. Well, we are dealing, a lot with old buildings. And of course, I'm now coming from the electrical and building management side, not from the schoolwork side with insulations and others. Yes, there are also a lot of But if I see and also share with you our experiences, there are a lot of potentials, especially by the old buildings where we can optimize. They are still running with so-called old chillers, which is needed for air conditioning or heating, and with old pumps and motors. And they can be easily replaced with the newer ones, respectively. We have today software solutions which can help to run the chiller operations in a much more efficient way. We have a software solution which is called Demand Flow, which analyzes the performance of the chiller and optimizes. So that is one thing. Another thing, as I said, we have cloud-based solutions which can watch the consumption of the building and make it transparent to the facility managers, which can also help, again, to optimize the energy consumption. So again, we see a lot of potentials, especially by old buildings, from building management perspective, from running air conditions and electricity-wise. So we can do a lot. Today's technologies are especially helping by the old buildings. By new buildings, of course, you can start from scratch, making it more efficient. But by the old ones, I see much more potential.
Right, Shernaz, any supplement?
I think Erdal's kind of, been very clear that from a technology perspective, the stuff we have today will solve most of the problems and will really go a long way to addressing the challenges. I think the question is, as a building owner or facility manager, it's okay, getting your facts straight. Which changes are going to have the biggest impact? Do an energy audit, do the basic stuff right, and then make that decision and look at things on a total cost of ownership basis. Like Erdal said, if you do replace certain parts in a chiller or some motors, you might actually get a lot of lifetime savings. And this stuff, you've got to really figure that out. But yeah, so I think we're in agreement. Yeah.
So maybe I can also supplement on this question, but I know, as far as I know, the U value of the facade is already improving, right? Which results in reducing the heat gain into the building. And I know that some of the buildings may adopt some the top windows may have some louvers that can enhance some of the natural ventilation if the climatic condition are allowed to the building operator to open the louver so that some natural ventilation can come in to reduce the loading, right? So the next question from the audience is that is it important to integrate innovation with sustainability for long-term green growth? Is there a role for the government to facilitate this transformation? Maybe Ben and Stephen can share your view on this question, right?
Yeah.
So do you think the government need to do more, or they are doing just enough, right?
Everyone can do more. So I'll say yes, there's a framework, right? There's a framework. So innovation, sustainability, and commercialization are three factors that we should look into when we're driving these types of innovative solutions, right? So when we adopt these startup technologies and we bring it into all of our ecosystems, are we achieving commercial goals? That's kind of by default. But at the same time, are we also diving into the UN SDGs sub-goals, really understanding what we're trying to achieve there? So we do make an impact on that side as well, right? Essentially what we're trying to do is create a shared value. If we're able to use innovation, drive impact to a certain customer base, at the same time also commercialize, that's a very sustainable business model as well. Right. So I do think that more and more organizations will follow suit. The government will also follow suit. Again, going back to, can we do more? Yes, we can do more, but going back to the theme before, we must do more, right? So absolutely.
But can I interrupt a little bit? Right? Yeah. You mentioned that the SDG goals, right? There are 17 goals under SDG, right? So do you think any priority that they are carrying all the equal importance, or we do need to have prioritized some of the items from your point of view, right?
Yeah, so if you look at the UN SDGs and who designed it, right, the UN Compact, they'll tell you specific goals that need better priority, right? And there's quite a lot of them, right? But from our perspective, we do believe that to make an impact in our ecosystem and our customer engagement, we look at good health and wellness, we look at quality education, we look at sustainable development, smart cities, and we're looking at partnerships and goals. Specifically, from a New World perspective, because we do look at the biggest bang for our buck in terms of being able to make an impact.
Well, Stephen, back to original question, right? What do you think the government can do? Or,
well, actually, I think the government is encouraging and supporting the industry to go for this direction. For example, in my experience, currently, for the new upcoming tender, the government, want us to use the digital twins in the water treatment process, wastewater treatment process, and also at the beginning of the project, they encourage us to use some innovative idea or latest technology and try to improve the energy usage or try to generate more energy to serve the plant in order to reduce the electricity usage. So this sort of incentive, I would say, encourage us, to move forward to be more sustainable and use the latest technology.
all right, thank you.
I like
Yep.
I see in Hong Kong the government is much more supportive to those new initiatives than I might compare with Taiwan. So we have here a bit more to push. In fact, this is a joint work between the governments, industry, and society. We, from industry, providing the technologies, but the governments needs to set the framework, define certain rules, even incentives sometimes to push things. For example, we see a lot of examples in Germany where people can get subsidies if they implement energy saving solutions in their buildings, which we don't have, by the way, here in Taiwan, which is very complicated. So sometimes people look into the money and say, well, if I have to invest that much, and then I have to wait 3, 4, 5 years for the return, so they don't rather not do it. So therefore, it's important that the governments really define rules, regulations, which motivate, drive people. We provide technology, and of course, the society has to accept and support it. So it is, in fact, a good joint work which needs to be done.
Okay, thank you, Redo. Right. Okay, another question from the audience is that do you think the Hong Kong's smart city blueprints and the initiative to go far enough to address the Hong Kong's environmental problems, right? So I'm not sure everybody will read the smart city blueprints, but I think that more digitalization, I think, is the key. Do you think that is the solution to Hong Kong's current environmental problems?
I think so. If I'm not completely well versed with the blueprint, but I mean, I think generally speaking, there were 7 themes. There was around mobility, smart living, and a few other things like that. So I think the blueprint actually is quite expansive. I think it covers a number of key areas which are important for Hong Kong. And recently, obviously, the government launched their kind of transportation or decarbonization view of transport sector, which obviously is another big carbon emitter. So I think these kind of, the policy that is being shaped is actually helping drive the rest of the ecosystem, like Erdo said, us, society, other partners, to actually start thinking, okay, this is the policy set by government. Now we've got to figure out how we make sure we align with this policy in the future. And then eventually, regulation will be used to make sure that the appropriate rules and regulations are followed. But I think the policy setting makes a lot of sense, and it's going in the right direction. I think the key areas are being addressed from a government perspective. But I think it's important to note that we, like everyone said, we can't expect the government to solve the problems. I mean, that is our collective responsibility. But certainly the government's there to structure the problem and set some vision context, which I think they've done.
Any more?
Framework, tax incentives, those are important, as you said. And then we have to implement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, I think another thing that the smart city blueprint talking about is the smart transportation, right? And the government has already issued another, I would say, blueprint is that to phase out adopt more EV, electric vehicles, and phase out the diesel vehicle by 2035, right? So do you think any innovation features or that can support the general public to adopt more EV instead of purchasing the old vehicle with diesel, right? Are there any specific thing that you can mention?
This is another key area besides building the transportation where we really need to do a lot. And I also see good plans and incentives, let's say regulations here in Hong Kong, and I do believe it's important. And this will also change not only the transformation, the transport infrastructure, but also change the energy infrastructure. We need to also integrate those things into the grid. Grid has to manage all those electric vehicles. And this can only be done if we now start planning and rolling it out. Setting a target saying was, I think, 2035, right, is good, And we can do it. We have today technologies, I mean, production of the e-cars to one side, but also integrating it into the grids and providing efficient charging systems and utilizing the renewables, especially by the buildings, where we can utilize the solar panels to store the energy and use it for our electric cars, for example, are in fact CO2 free, right? So those things needs to be more pushed and provided that we can switch from the conventional cars to e-cars and utilize, for example, the renewable energies. But that is, in my eyes, another important area, again, to reach the 2050 target, not only work on the buildings, but also on the transportation and mobility sector.
Can you share with us about the Taiwan experience? Is Taiwan is adopting a lot of EV right now, or how about whether the charging station can support the use of the EV in Taiwan?
We are not there yet.
No.
Yes, we have the plans. And yes, there are a lot of solar farms to generate energy from renewables. And Taiwan has a very, very big program to expand the offshore wind generation. As you might know, the Taiwan Strait is in fact a good place to set up the wind farms. So those are the initiatives Taiwan is driving, but related to EV, respectively, we are still working on their plans to roll it out, but we are not there yet. And I do believe it is really time to push this topic. Yes, Taiwan has defined a target, 2030, if I'm correct. All buses needs to be replaced by electric buses, which is good, because you know those big buses, old buses, they are very inefficient, respectively, emitting a lot of CO2s. And if they are replaced, that will be the first step. And then, of course, the private e-cars will be next. I'm not sure whether you have any plans in Hong Kong, for example, to replace the buses, the conventional buses with electric buses. This would be also a very important topic. They also need, again, efficient charging systems and others, which we are, by the way, providing nicely.
I think if I can just add on,
yeah, sure.
I think you totally agree. The transport segment is really critical, and I think that the audience had the question of what innovations are needed. But I would say, Hong Kong, from a technology perspective, will basically follow rest of the world, because there are big markets out there. There's the US, there's China, there's kind of Europe, if you just clump them together. And the electrification kind of trend is obviously in certain parts of China is very, very advanced. Europe is kind of chasing behind it, and a lot of aggressive plans on decarbonizing, phasing out diesel vehicles, etc. So I think from a solution perspective, the direction is already there. So I think we're going to get cheaper passenger vehicles. We're going to get more models that people can look at to buy. We're going to get more commercial vehicles on the market. All the big OEMs, particularly the European ones, have set targets of when they're going to launch more models. And if you look at the growth over the next 3-4 years of the options coming out on the EV side, it's huge. So I think from a customer adoption perspective, we're going to see a lot more take-up going forward. And of course, with that, prices are going to come down. So I think from an economic perspective, that drive is going to happen through the global trend that we're seeing. Then, of course, on a local level, how do you implement this? How do you get the right infrastructure? Make sure you don't overbuild, so the pricing is right, so it's efficiently used. These are all things we need to solve on the ground here.
Vivian, any supplement on the topic of EV? So
no, I mean, it's bound to happen. It's going to happen. But I think it's a matter of how quickly can it happen, and we have to think about the user experience. Right. I mean, right now, when I talk to guys who have Teslas, and that they have to go to this particular location to charge their vehicle for an hour to get 90% charge, can we improve those situations and actually make the adoption a lot faster? So that's an element that we'll just have to think about.
Right. Yeah. Stephen, is it a government requirement to adopt an EV for a contract car?
Well, we look for that as well. And in fact, the use of renewable energy is important, but how to store it is also very important. In fact, our company are investigating on the new type of battery, And with the new type of battery, you can store more energy in a very short time and with a longer life, that it can help to promote the EV as well.
That battery is for EV, right? So
It's not only for EV, we
All
are
right.
also using the battery for some solar panel in the reservoir or other places as well.
all right, okay. Charles, may I know if any, try to move another topics, how about hydrogen, right? I'm not sure you can share with us some of
I
your
was
hydrogen.
just
Fuel
thinking
cell,
about it.
Yeah,
Please,
As
Erdal.
you were talking about energy saving, storage.
Yeah.
By the way, hydrogen is one of the future storage medium for energy. I'm not sure what activities in Hong Kong are happening, but I can share a couple of things from Europe, Germany especially. We have also started to promote it in Taiwan. We are also talking about so-called sector coupling. I'm not sure I have heard this word, sector coupling. Means coupling the energy sector with the transportation sector, with the building sector. How? Now take the renewable sector. They generate energy and we don't need the energy all the time. We don't need the energy all the time. If we have wind, sometimes we don't have. So we need to store the energy if it is not used, but we have a lot of wind or so. Hydrogen is let's say, one of the major solutions to generate hydrogen from the renewables. And later on, we can use hydrogen again for cars, transportation, for buildings, for cooling or heating. So this will be one of the major topics I do believe which we need to also look at. And also here, we will really need certain frameworks, regulations from the government side that also industries can invest into it. And I'm just repeating, this is happening in Germany, Taiwan not there yet, but this will come after we have implemented 10 gigawatt offshore, because we will be not able to use all the energy all the time, so we need to store it in an efficient way, and the hydrogen is one of the key solutions of the future.
thank you, Erdal. Charles, any perspective from the local power company in terms of hydrogen, right?
I think, of course, as we look for the solutions for the carbon target, we look at all these activities. As Erdal said, hydrogen. There's a lot of activity happening in sort of northern Europe, and of course Germany, the UK, and so on, and some in the US and Australia and Japan, of course. So I think globally there's a lot of trials going on, a lot of technology being developed. From our perspective, obviously, we need to see how does that fit in to our future plans, and how do we figure out the a lot around the supply chain and things like that. So I think there's a lot of evaluation still to be done from our perspective. But certainly, it's an option that's in the mix.
But isn't it part of the option that cell people adopt in order to achieve your, say, reduce by 82% by 2050 about the carbon reduction target?
Yeah, certainly that's the target, and like I said, that's one of the things we're looking at, as seeing how is that viable? How do we make that happen? But there's still some work to be done, some more evaluation to be had. So,
okay, thank you all the panelists. I think time is almost up, and thank you once again for all the panelists, and let's give a big support to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our speakers and moderator for the enlightening sharing regarding technology and innovation in the face of climate change and sustainability. This brings us to the end of this session. We'll take a short break now, with our final session starting at 3:30 p.m. Thank you.